एंड वेलकम टू माय यूट्यूब चैनल द सोलफुल डायरी। आज के वीडियो में हम बात करेंगे रूडयार्ड किपलिंग की पोम मैंडले के बारे में। पोएट के बारे में हम पहले एक वीडियो में डिस्कस कर चुके हैं जिसका लिंक डिस्क्रिप्शन में, और जितनी भी पोम्स हमने रूडयार्ड किपलिंग की डिस्कस की है उनका लिंक डिस्क्रिप्शन में है। चलिए शुरू करते हैं आज के वीडियो। डेप्थ डिस्कस करने से पहले जान लेते हैं उसके कुछ की फीचर्स। मैनले ऑल्सो नोन एज द रूट टू Mandalay was written in 1890 and published 2 years later in Barrack Room Ballads and Other Verses. Kipling set the poem in colonial Burma, which was at the time the poem was written part of British India. Narrative in style, the poem follows a Cockney soldier who, after returning to London, recalls the time he spent in Burma alongside a woman he loved. Mandalay refers to the capital city of Burma. It is one of several allusions in the text to that area, the Burmese royal family, and more. The poem was set to music in 1907 by Ole Speaks. This led to its greater popularization, especially considering that Frank Sinatra sang the lyrics. Critics have varying opinions on Manley as a poem due to the prevailing romanticization of colonialism. No matter one's opinion of the content, the fact that Kipling wrote it when he was only 24 years old is an accomplishment in itself. It was inspired by the 7 years he spent in India and his journey through home through Calcutta and Japan. When asked about the poem, he stated that he was struck by the beauty of the Burmese woman. It features the reminiscence of a soldier looking back on his time in Burma alongside a woman he loved. The stanzas of this poem are fairly straightforward as the speaker walks the reader through the moments surrounding his encounter with a specific woman. He met her in Burma, and now after he's left, he's longing for her. The soldier describes his distaste for London and the simple fact that he would like to be somewhere else, somewhere unfamiliar and exotic. Throughout the poem, Kipling makes references to people and places as well as customs in Burma that the speaker familiarized himself with. This helps create a very specific atmosphere for his memories and allowed him to contrast well against the soldier's present home. The poem's full title, "The Road to Mandalay," refers to a road stretch shortened down from the road. In the title, this is a nautical term sometimes called steds, used to refer to bodies of water in which ships could use anchor safely. They were sheltered there from rip currents and tides. It is a six-stanza poem that is separated into sets of eight or 10 lines. The first and last stanzas have 10, while the middle four stanzas have only 8 lines, making them octaves. Each stanza contains perfect rhymes following a pattern that changes. The first stanza rhymes A A B B B B B B, while the second stanza rhymes A A B B C C D D. The poem has features of a ballad but does not directly conform to the pattern. The lines are written in trochaic octameters, which means that each line is made up of 8 sets of 2 beats, the first of which is stressed and the second is unstressed. Go in depth discuss करते हैं stanza 1. By the old monument pagoda, looking lazy at the sea, there's a Burman girl a sitting, and I know she thinks of me. For the wind is in the palm trees and the temple bells. They say, "Come you back, you British soldier, come you back to Manley. Come you back to Manley, where the old flotilla lay. Can't you hear their paddles drunken from Rangoon to Manley, on the road to Manley, where the flying fishes play, and the dawn comes up like thunder outer China across the bay." The first stanza, the speaker begins by looking into his past to a place he used to visit in Burma, the Molman Pagoda. There, he knows there's a beautiful girl who is spinning after him just like he's spinning after her. Kipling uses a great deal of repetition in these lines, with the word Mandalay ending several lines and rhyming with many more. This creates the feeling of a song, one that the Burmese woman sings while she thinks of her lost love. It is also clear from the These first lines that the speaker has a very idealistic view on Burma in comparison to London. The poet was trying to channel a Cockney accent for the soldier and a Burmese accent for the woman, which in some places was more effective than in others. There is also a good example of a simile in the last line of the stanza when the poet compares dawn and the rise of the sun to thunder. Stanza 2. Ere petticoat was yaller, and ere little cap was green, and ere was superior lad, just the same as tuberous queen, and I seed her first a smoking of a vacant white chair-coot, and a western Christian kisses on an earthen idol's foot. Bohemian idol made of mud, what they called the great god bud. Plucky lot she cared for idols where I kissed air where she stood on the road to Mandalay. In the second stanza, the dialect is a lot stronger than in the first. Here it takes some deciphering to figure out what exactly the speaker is saying. It often helps to read lines like this out loud. He is reminiscing on the first time that he saw his Burmese girlfriend. She was smoking white chirkut while wasting Christian kisses on an earthen idol's foot. Through these lines, the reader will likely envision this woman as someone simple whose religious practices are quite different from those of the soldiers or the writer. Stanza 3. When the mist was on the rice fields and the sun was dropping slow, she would get her little banjo and she would sing Kula Lolo with her arm upon my shoulder and cheek against my cheek. We used to watch the steamers and the hatters spill and take, elephants up spill and take, in the sludgy, squidgy creek when the silence hung and heavy. You were afraid to speak on the road to Manly. The third stanza provides more detail in regard to Kipling's perception of Burma and his soldiers' experiences. He describes the woman he met there in simple terms, all of which must have seemed endearing at the time. Now, much of it seems patronizing and like stereotyping. Despite this, there are some more romantic moments, such as when the two are sitting side by side watching the steamers in the water. There are also good examples of imagining these lines, for example, in the sludgy, squidgy creek where the silence sung that every you was afraid to speak. Stanza 4. But that's all shove behind me long ago and far away, and there ain't no buses running from the bank to Manly, and I'm learning here in London what the 10-year soldier tells. If you have heard the Easter calling, you won't never eat naught else. No, you won't need nothing else but them spicy garlic smells and the sunshine and the palm trees and the tinkly temple bells on the road to Manly. Unfortunately for the soldier, everything he has described as the previous two stanzas is in the past. His girl is far from behind, and Manly is in the past. It's long ago and far away, he says. One of the soldier's main lessons in life, which he conveys to reader in the fourth stanza, is that anything you need to know can be learned in the East. You won't never need naught else. The last line of the stanza seems particularly effective as it drifts off what the ellipse. Stanza 5. I'm sick of wasting leather on these gritty paving stones, and the blasted English drizzle wakes the fever in my bones. Though I walk with 50 housemaids out of Chelsea to the stand, and they talks a lot of loving, but won't do they understand? Biffy face and grubby and law, what do they understand? I have a neater, sweeter maiden in a cleaner, greener land on the road to Manly. The fifth stanza is the last of those which contains only 8 lines. In it he takes an angrier tone, he expresses his exasperation at the fact that he's stuck in the English drizzle in London with people who don't understand loving. The housemaids who walk out of Chelsea to the Strand don't know anything about the love and passion he felt. The use of the dash at the end of line 5 in the stanza helps to convey his tone. Stanza 6. Ship me somewhere east of Suez where the best is like the worst, where there aren't no 10 commandments and a man can raise a thirst for the temple bells are calling. It's there that I would be by the old Norman pagoda, looking lazy at the sea on the road to Manley, where the old flotilla lay with our sick beneath the wings when we went to Manley, or the road to Manley, where the flying fishes play and the dawn comes up like thunder out of China across the bay. He asks anyone who is listening in the sixth stanza to take him away from London and all of England to anywhere east of Suez. He wants to return to a place in which the people live far different lives than he does, where there aren't no 10 commandments and men do as they please. He speaks again about the Malman Pagoda and Manley. Kipling also repeats his use of repetition in these lines. It is similar to what he accomplished with the rhyme scheme in the first stanza. The poem concludes with the speaker throwing a few more images at the reader, completing an emotional picture of Manley at least to the speakers. Themes. Depending on who is reading Manley, different themes might seem the most prominent. Some of the most important are colonialism, romance, and nostalgia. Nostalgia is perhaps the most obvious of these. Alongside romance, he makes these two features of the poem clear right from the start. It is centered around experience from the past and his desire to get back there. A very simple and traditional setup for the poem. Kipling changes things around a little with the unusual settings, Burma and London, and with the use of dialects. Lines are not so romantic as they seemed when it was first written. Now, as in other poems, Kipling's colonialist view on Burma and those living in what was then British India seems demeaning, simplified, and patriarchal at times. Literary devices. Kipling makes use of several literary devices in Manley. These include, but are not limited to, dialect, alliteration, allusion, and enjambment. The latter is one of the most important formal techniques poets can use in their work. It is seen in the transition between line 5 and 6 of the second stanza as well as line 3 and 4 of the sixth stanza. Alliteration is another formal device. It is concerned with the use and reuse of words beginning with the same consonant sound. For example, looking and lazy in line 1 of the first stanza and waking and white in line 3 of the second stanza. Allusions can be found throughout this poem as Kipling's speaker relates his experience in Burma. There are specific places, names, reference to a Burmese royalty, and various cultural practices. Kipling's use of dialect is also a form of allusion in that it provides readers with details about the poem that aren't directly stated. The soldiers has a Cockney accent, suggesting that the speaker might be from East End of London. तो आई होप आज की वीडियो आपको पसंद है। कैसी लगे हमें कमेंट करके बताएं। अगर कोई डाउट्स है, सजेशंस है तो वो भी आप कमेंट सेक्शन में ड्रॉप कर सकते हैं। आज की वीडियो आपको अच्छी लगी तो लाइक, शेयर एंड सब्सक्राइब टू माय चैनल। मिलते हैं कल एक और इन्फॉर्मेटिव वीडियो के साथ शाम 4 बजे। टिल देन कीप वॉचिंग एंड कीप सपोर्टिंग द सोलफुल डायरी। थैंक यू।